I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, writing about how my wife, Emily, cheated on me right before our wedding. We'd been together for nearly 5 years. She always seemed so invested in making things perfect, like she genuinely loved me. Or at least, that's what I believed. I should have known something was off when she started acting weird a few weeks before the wedding. She'd get defensive whenever I asked about her plans or her phone, and she was unusually secretive about her texts and her social media. I thought maybe it was just pre-wedding stress, but deep down, I felt a gnawing suspicion. It all started to unravel when I accidentally came across a hotel receipt in her purse. I wasn't even snooping. I just reached into her bag to grab her phone charger and saw the crumpled slip of paper. It was a receipt for a hotel downtown. Date matched exactly to her supposed girls' weekend she kept bragging about. But she'd been lying about that weekend, claiming she was just catching up with her friends, going shopping, doing spa days. The receipt was for a hotel she never mentioned, and it was paid in cash, which was odd. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept looking at the receipt, trying to convince myself I was overreacting. But then I noticed something strange. An envelope slipped behind the receipt, almost hidden. I pulled it out and saw it was a handwritten note. It read, "Can't wait to see you tonight, Marcus. Love you more than anything." Marcus, the name hit me like a punch in the gut. I didn't need to guess who that was. Her boss, Marcus, the guy she'd been working with for the past year. Every instinct told me this wasn't just a one-time thing, it was serious. And it had been going on under my nose the entire time. My mind was racing. I felt a mixture of anger, betrayal, and utter disbelief. How could she lie so easily? She'd been telling me she loved me, that she was committed, that we had a future. Meanwhile, she was sneaking around with Marcus, her boss, someone I'd met a few times at work events but never thought much of beyond a professional level. The worst part was that she was so good at hiding it. She'd always been bitchy about me checking her phone or asking questions, accusing me of mistrust. And here I was, finding proof she'd been sneaking around with her boss for months. The lies, the secrecy, everything clicked into place. I didn't confront her right away, though. I needed some time to process how deep this went. I was angry, yeah, but also hurt. It felt like my entire world was crashing down because of her. I kept replaying everything she'd said, every lie she'd spun, and I realized she'd been lying about so much more than just the affair. She was manipulative, a real bitch about how she dismissed my concerns and played the victim whenever I brought up her secretive behavior. That's when I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I had to confront her, but I also had to plan what I was going to say. I wanted to catch her off guard, make her see that I wasn't some fool who'd turn a blind eye. So I waited. The next day I came home early from work, found her in the living room, wearing that fake innocent look she always put on when she knew she'd been caught. That's when I dropped the bomb. I showed her the receipt and the note, and I watched her face drain of color. Her initial reaction was a nasty, bitchy sneer, like she was annoyed I'd found out, like I was bothering her with my stupid questions. She started lying, of course. Said she didn't know what I was talking about, that it was all a mistake, that I must have mistaken her for someone else. But I knew better. I told her I didn't believe her, that I'd seen enough and I wanted the truth. That's when she got defensive, said I was paranoid, that Marcus was just someone she worked with, that it was just sex, and that I was overreacting because I was insecure. She told me I was making a big deal out of nothing and that I needed to trust her. I couldn't believe how calm she sounded, even after I'd shown her the proof. It was like she thought she could lie her way out of this, like she was used to getting her way. I felt so betrayed, so humiliated. I thought I knew her, but I'd been blind the whole time. All the signs were there, but I'd ignored them because I loved her. I always thought she was perfect, that she was the one. And now I had to face that she'd been cheating on me with her boss, Marcus, while pretending everything was fine. After I confronted her and the initial shock wore off, I felt this boiling rage inside me that I couldn't suppress. Emily just sat there with that sly smirk, acting like she hadn't just been caught cheating with her boss, like it was no big deal. She kept saying, "It's not what you think, and it was just sex," as if that somehow justified everything. I could see right through her bullshit. She was trying to make me out to be the crazy one, but I wasn't buying it. I remember feeling this terrible mix of anger, betrayal, and deep sadness. My stomach was churning and my hands were trembling. I couldn't believe I had been so blind. All those late nights she claimed were work emergencies or stress turned out to be secret meetings with Marcus. She lied about everything, said she was busy with her job, that Marcus was just a coworker, that there was nothing more to it. But I knew better now. The receipts, the secret messages, the way she tried to avoid my questions, that all added up. She'd been lying to my face for months. I didn't want just to break down and cry. I wanted her to feel what she'd done to me, to us. I told her she was a manipulative bitch, that I couldn't believe she'd fuck her boss while lying to my face. She rolled her eyes and snapped. "You're overreacting, as usual. You always make a big deal out of everything." That only made my blood boil more. How could she be so cold, so dismissive? I couldn't even recognize the woman I'd married anymore. She was cold, calculating, and totally willing to betray me for Marcus's cock. I told her I needed some space, that I was done talking. I left the room, went to the bathroom, and looked at myself in the mirror. My face was red, my eyes were bloodshot, and I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I kept thinking about all the times she'd lied to me, all the moments I'd trusted her, and how she'd used that trust as a weapon. My mind kept spinning with questions. How long had this been going on? How many nights did she spend with Marcus in that hotel? When did I stop being enough? The pain was overwhelming. I wanted to scream, cry, break something all at once. In the days that followed, I couldn't focus on anything. Every time I saw her, I saw a stranger. Her bitchy attitude, the way she dismissed my feelings, the way she played the victim, none of that sat well with me anymore. I knew I had to do something, but I wasn't sure what. Part of me wanted to confront Marcus, to tell him he'd been played, to make him see what Emily really was. But I also knew that wouldn't solve anything. What I needed was to figure out what I wanted from this mess. Was there any hope of fixing things? Or was she just a liar and a cheat who'd continue to lie and cheat? I started to realize that the Emily I knew was gone. The woman I loved was dead, buried under all her lies and her bitchy attitude. She was so good at pretending she was innocent, but I saw through the act now. I saw the way she looked at Marcus, the secret messages she kept hidden, the hotel receipts that proved her lies. She'd been fooling me for months, maybe longer, and I felt so stupid for not seeing it sooner. I should have known women like her, they don't just cheat once and feel bad about it. They liar, they manipulative, and they don't care about the man they're supposed to love. At that moment, I made a decision. I wasn't going to let her keep lying to me, to keep destroying what we had. I knew I had to get out, to save what little dignity I had left. I told her I was done, that I didn't want to see her anymore unless she was honest about everything. She started crying, throwing a fit, calling me paranoid, saying I was overreacting again. I didn't care. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was finally standing up for myself. The betrayal cut deep, but I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. I had to walk away from this, even if it meant rebuilding my life from scratch. And honestly, I felt a strange sense of relief mixed with the pain. I'd been living on a lie, and now I was finally free from her manipulations. But I also knew I'd never forget this feeling, the gut-wrenching betrayal, the sudden realization that the woman I loved had been lying to me, fucking her boss behind my back while I thought we were building a future. The trust was shattered, probably forever. And the worst part, I knew I'd never completely get over it. Still, I had to move on. I had to find a way to heal and rebuild my life without her. After I told her I was done, I expected her to lose her mind, to beg me to stay, to show some real emotion. Instead, she just sat there looking more pissed off than remorseful. Her bitchy attitude only intensified. She snapped back. "You're just overreacting like always. You think you're so perfect, but you're not. You're insecure, jealous, and honestly, you're lucky I even stayed with you this long." That kind of trash talk hit me like a punch to the chest. I felt my stomach turn. Yeah, I was hurt, but hearing her say that made me realize how much I'd been blind. She was a manipulative bitch, and I had let her get away with it for way too long. I remember walking out of that apartment feeling numb, like I'd been hit by a truck. My head was pounding and my heart was racing. I kept replaying her words, trying to piece together everything I'd missed. It hurt to think I'd invested years in someone who just used me for her own sick amusement. She lied about everything, about Marcus, about her feelings about us. I knew I needed to get out, to get away from her toxicity. I booked a hotel for the night, not sure if I was going to tell anyone yet or just disappear for a while. I just needed space to breathe and think. Over the next few days, Emily kept texting me, trying to act like she was the victim. She called me paranoid and crazy, saying I was ruining everything over some stupid hotel receipts. She even had the nerve to accuse me of spying on her, which was bullshit. I wasn't spying, I just stumbled upon the truth. But she kept playing the victim, acting like I was the one at fault. Meanwhile, she was out there still texting Marcus, still lying, still pretending everything was fine. That's when I knew she wasn't going to change. She was going to keep lying, keep manipulating, and keep pretending she was innocent. I started to think about what I needed to do next. Part of me wanted revenge. Really, deep down, I wanted her to feel the pain she'd caused me. I wanted her to see she couldn't get away with this. But another part of me, the rational side, said I needed to cut her off completely. No more texts, no more calls, no more pretending I cared. I didn't want her to have that power over me anymore. I'd been a fool to trust her, and I wasn't going to let her manipulate me again. So I decided to clean out the apartment, throw away all the shit that reminded me of her, her clothes, her pictures, even the stupid little gifts she'd given me. It hurt, but it also felt like a weight was lifting. I told myself I was reclaiming my life, that I wasn't going to be her puppet anymore. That night, I stayed in that hotel, alone but finally feeling some sense of clarity. I knew I had to start over. It was the only way to move past the betrayal. And honestly, I felt a tiny flicker of relief knowing I'd finally taken control. But at the same time, the anger simmered just beneath the surface. How could she do this? How could she lie so effortlessly about Marcus, about everything? She was so bitchy, so manipulative, and now I saw her for what she truly was, a selfish, lying bitch who only cared about herself. The betrayal cut deep, and I knew it wouldn't be easy to forget, but I also knew I couldn't keep living in this nightmare. I had to move forward, even if it meant doing it alone. I felt the sting of loss, the bitterness of betrayal, but I also felt a strange sense of liberation. I was finally free from her lies, her games, her bullshit. It was time to rebuild, to find someone who wouldn't lie to me, cheat on me, and treat me like I was nothing. The days that followed were a blur. I tried to keep myself busy, but honestly nothing felt real anymore. Everywhere I looked, I saw reminders of her, her perfume still lingering in the apartment, her clothes in the closet, the half-opened messages from Marcus that I managed to see before she deleted them all. It was like I was walking around in a nightmare, waiting for her to pop up and deny everything again. But I knew better now. I'd seen the receipts, read her secret messages, and I knew what she really was, a manipulative, bitchy woman who lied without a second thought. The worst part was how she kept acting like I was overreacting, trying to paint herself as the victim. She'd call me paranoid, accuse me of being insecure, and tell me I was just jealous of Marcus because I couldn't satisfy her. That made my blood boil. I realized she'd been gaslighting me for months, making me doubt myself, twisting the truth so I'd feel guilty for catching her. But I wasn't going to fall for it anymore. I'd seen the proof. I knew she'd been lying, cheating, and sneaking around behind my back. I started talking to some friends about it, trying to get some perspective. They told me to cut her out completely, to block her, don't reply to her texts, and definitely don't let her guilt trip me into feeling bad. I knew they were right. I had to get rid of her for good. I couldn't keep living with the betrayal hanging over me, knowing that she was out there, probably lying to someone else now. I decided to change my number and deactivate my social media accounts for a while. I needed to disconnect, to focus on myself and figure out what I really wanted. In that process, I realized I'd been giving her way too much power. She was so bitchy, so manipulative, and she'd always played the victim when she got caught. She'd pretend she didn't know what I was talking about, try to make me seem crazy for suspecting her. But the truth was I'd been blind. I'd ignored all the red flags. her secretive texts, her late nights, her dismissive attitude when I asked questions. I kept telling myself she loved me, that she was just stressed or busy, but deep down, I knew she was just lying to cover her cheating. Honestly, I was surprised how quickly I felt a sense of relief once I decided to cut ties. Even with all the pain and betrayal, there was a tiny voice inside me that said, "You're better off without her." It sounds crazy, but I felt like I was finally waking up from a long, terrible nightmare. I started to realize that I deserved better, someone honest, someone who wouldn't lie and cheat. This whole experience, brutal as it was, made me see just how manipulative Emily really was. She'd lied so much she probably believed her own bullshit. I also started to remember all the times she dismissed my feelings, called me insecure, or told me I was just overreacting. She hated when I questioned her, but now I see she did that because she was always hiding something. That bitchy attitude, her sneaky lies, her secret meetings with Marcus, everything made sense now. I couldn't believe I'd been so stupid to overlook it. I thought I was protecting our relationship, but I was just blind to her true nature. In some strange way, I felt a little stronger. The betrayal hurt like hell, but it also opened my eyes. I realized I'd been living a lie, and now that I knew the truth, I could start to rebuild. I didn't know how long it would take to really get over this, but I was determined not to let her win. I knew I'd have to trust myself more, be more cautious in the future. I also knew I'd never forget what she did, but I promised myself I wouldn't let the pain define me. I'd come out of this smarter, stronger, and finally free from her bitchy manipulations. After cutting her out completely, I felt a strange mixture of relief and emptiness. On one hand, I was finally free from her lies and manipulations. On the other, I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal that had taken over my mind. The worst part was knowing she'd gone behind my back with Marcus, her boss, someone I'd never suspected of being involved in her web of deception. I kept replaying everything in my head, her sneaky messages, the hotel receipts, her bitchy attitude whenever I questioned her. It all pointed to one thing: she'd been lying to me from the start, and she didn't care that she was hurting me. I did my best to focus on rebuilding my life. I started going to therapy, trying to process the betrayal and heal from the emotional damage. It was tough, every time. I thought I was making progress. A new memory would hit me, or I'd realize just how deep her lies went. But with time, I learned to accept that I couldn't change what she'd done. All I could do was control how I responded to it. I also threw myself into work, threw myself into new hobbies, and tried to surround myself with friends who reminded me of what real loyalty and honesty looked like. But here's the thing. No matter how much I tried to move on, her bitchy attitude kept popping into my head. She was so manipulative, so good at lying and pretending to be the victim. When I saw her social media posts, all cheerful and acting like everything was fine, I wanted to scream. Because I knew the truth, she was a liar and a cheat. She'd betrayed me in the worst way, and yet she still had the nerve to act like she was innocent. That realization made me even angrier. How could she be so bitchy and selfish, hiding her affair with Marcus while acting like the victim? Eventually, I decided I needed closure. I reached out to her one last time, just to hear her side, even though I already knew it would be bullshit. I sent a simple message. "It's over. I know what you did. Don't contact me again." That was it. No long explanations, no begging her to change. I just wanted her to know I was done, period. Her response was typical: more bitchy deflections, accusations, and dismissals. She tried to twist everything around, claiming I was the one to blame for everything because I was insecure. I just blocked her after that. Honestly, I felt a massive weight lift off my shoulders. This whole experience taught me some hard lessons. First, never ignore red flags. Second, trust your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is. And third, don't let anyone, especially a manipulative bitch like Emily, gaslight you into doubting yourself. I learned to stand up for myself, even when it meant cutting out someone I cared about. It's not easy, and yeah, I still have moments of sadness or anger, but I know I'm better off without her. She's just a manipulative, bitchy woman who lied and cheated her way through our relationship. And honestly, I don't regret walking away from that toxic mess. Now I'm focusing on myself. Started dating again cautiously, but I'm learning to trust again. I know I'll never forget what Emily did, but I refuse to let it define me. The betrayal was a brutal slap, but it also woke me up to what I deserve: someone honest, someone who won't lie or cheat, someone who treats me like I matter. I guess what I want to say is, if you're ever in a situation like this, trust your instincts. Don't ignore the red flags, even if it hurts. Because at the end of the day, you're the only one who can protect your heart. And trust me, being alone and honest is way better than being with someone who's just a manipulative, lying bitch. Looking back, I realized that losing Emily was one of the hardest things I've ever gone through, but it also woke me up to what I really deserve in a relationship. I used to think that love was enough to overcome everything, but now I see that honesty and respect are the foundation. Without those, everything else crumbles. Her betrayal cut so deep because I truly believed in her, believed she was my future, my partner, the one person I could count on. But she was just playing a part, pretending to be perfect while secretly sneaking around with her boss Marcus. The lies, the secret messages, the hotel receipts, they all painted a clear picture of how little she cared about what we had. That bitchy attitude of hers, that manipulative way she dismissed everything I said, it all made me realize how much she used me. She was so good at pretending to be innocent, but deep down, she was just selfish, lying, and manipulative. That realization made me angry at first, but eventually it turned into strength. I learned that I don't need someone who plays games, who cheats and lies just to satisfy her own selfish needs. I deserve honesty, loyalty, and respect. The betrayal hurt like hell, but it also set me free. I got rid of the toxic woman who never really cared about me, and now I'm rebuilding my life, better, stronger, and more cautious. I don't regret the pain. It's part of my story now. It's made me realize how important it is to trust my instincts and never ignore red flags. When something feels off, I listen to that voice. Because if I hadn't, I might still be blind, sitting in that toxic relationship, pretending everything was okay. This whole experience has taught me that sometimes you have to lose someone to realize your worth. Emily was a manipulative, bitchy woman who thought she could get away with anything. But I finally see her for what she truly was, the kind of woman who cheats, lies, and dismisses her own feelings just to satisfy her ego. I'm glad I caught her. I found the receipts, the secret messages, the truth that was hiding in plain sight. Now I move forward, no longer haunted by her lies. I know I'll never forget what she did, but I also know I'll never let her control me again. The pain will fade, but the lessons will stay with me. I trust that someday I'll find someone honest, someone who respects me and who won't lie or cheat. Until then, I'll keep focusing on myself and healing. Because in the end, the only person I can truly count on is me. And I'm done being played by a manipulative, bitchy woman who never really cared about us in the first place.